Hello, Darren from Bounce and Bella here. Today we're doing a lovely Instagram live with Gemma from Milne and Mutt. She's based in London, but she also does online courses. She does puppy and adult dog training, but the reason we're chatting today is the scent training that she does. Learn a bit more about that now, and she also does some free tutorials, which very handy, obviously. So let's see if we can connect up with Gemma. See how painless or painful this is. Trying to set up. I sent the request.
Hello.
Hey! Hello, Gemma. You all right?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. That was amazingly painless setup. Usually all sorts of hassle connecting up, so that was brilliant. Well done.
I did lots of live during lockdown, and I had I could just not see myself, and it was really difficult to do the live because you could just see the person I was doing it with. So this was good.
Oh, excellent. Good. And so we may as well launch straight in. You're from London now, but you're originally from Aberdeen. So what brought you down to London?
Well, initially what brought me down to London was my job in theatre. I worked in musical theatre in the West End for about 10 years, and that's what brought me to London. And then the whole career change into dog training, I'm still here. Yeah.
And what caused the switch over to dog training?
I had a really great career. I loved my job in theatre, but I just feel like I got to the point when I was ready for something different. I was desperate to be a vet when I was a kid. I did work experience at vets. I was obsessed with animals, and then I decided that I had a dog at the time when I was switching, and I decided that would be a really great, amazing job to help owners and dogs. And I retrained while I was in full-time theatre. And by the time my show closed, I was ready. I set up my business, and 4 years later, I'm still here.
Wow. And did you launch straight into it? Kind of one day you were doing musical theatre and then next day, or did you kind of gradually build up your base?
The last 6 months of my theatre career, I set up part-time dog training. So I did it part-time, found my feet, realised I loved it so much, and when the show that I was working on got its notice, it was closing, I was like, nobody asked me to do anything else in theatre, let me go. And I just tried it full time, and the first year was hard. The first year was a real shift in what I was used to, but I don't regret it at all.
Yeah, and you're partially learning on the job, I suppose.
Oh, always, yeah. I think that's the thing with your dog training career. You never stop learning, and you should never stop learning, because there's always so much new stuff coming out and so many new things to explore. So yeah, always learning.
And you're learning from each dog as they come.
You're learning from each dog, but you're also learning from just obviously other trainers that you get to know. But yeah, every dog gives you different challenges. So the whole thing with this job is looking at the dog in front of you and not just dogs. You've got to really tailor it to the dog that you're working with at that moment.
Yeah, and so you've had a big switch recently as well because of Corona or COVID. Yeah. So you've had to switch online.
Yeah, it was quite daunting. I think all trainers kind of felt that when we were just like, what can we do? Can we do this online? And I remember my mentor was asking me to do a Zoom. I didn't even know what Zoom was. So yeah, I made the switch, and actually I had the busiest year ever during lockdown. I was doing 6 or 7 Zooms a day, and I'd just be sat at this desk, and it was the best summer ever, and I would just look out those windows and think, oh, could be sunbathing. But yeah, I was super, I think we've all been really lucky with the kind of online training side of things.
Yeah, it shifted the whole thing completely, hasn't it, really? Yeah. So suddenly, did it work for scent training as well?
Yeah, so before lockdown, I just qualified with UK Sniffer Dogs. They're an organisation that are trying to make scent detection accessible to all pet dogs. So I just got my bronze level, which is the kind of first level. So I was like ready to go. I was excited to start classes, and then lockdown happened, and I was like, right. And obviously we never knew how long that was going to last. So I decided to come up with like an online course, which took bits of what I learned with them and some other organisations, and I created a 5-week course and started selling it in January. And now it's October, and I've done either 1 or 2 courses every month. It's been really popular, which is amazing.
Yeah. It's one of those things you think about as an owner. You kind of hear about it, you consider it, but it just feels like a bit of a leap to do it, or there's some kind of barrier to, you don't hear about it too much online. Well, you hear about it, but you don't understand how you would start to do it, I think. I think that's the thing. It's a leap into it.
Yeah, I think it's becoming more popular now. As more, I think as a sport, it's becoming more popular, and an activity that's, I think it is becoming more accessible. But yeah, I think it, unless you're working with a trainer or you've got a friend whose dog does it, I don't think you would be like, oh, that would be a really fun thing to go and do as an activity with your dog.
Mm.
Because obviously a lot of owners will do sniffy games with food and things, but the stuff that we're doing is kind of taking it to like the next level.
Yeah. And it's a sport now, you say?
Well, it is a sport. I mean, it's like the nosework sport. It's really big in America, like really big in America. And I think it would be great if we could make it as big here, because it's an addictive activity to do with your dog. I'm obsessed, obviously, because I love it. But I think everyone should take part.
And is it broken down by breeds? Would it matter what breed you had?
No, the best thing with scent work is it could be done by any breed, any age. Dogs that are physically not able to go for those really long walks anymore, it literally can be any dog, which Brilliant. Is and any age and any breed. So it really isn't like you'd be better if you came with a beagle. It doesn't matter.
Right. And what are the benefits of scent training then?
There's so many benefits. Obviously, you know, sniffing for dogs releases dopamine, which is that feel-good factor. So sniffing can be a great way to self-soothe, reduce anxiety. It also gives them that outlet to use their best asset. We tend to just, on walks, I think we tend to want to just keep on walking, and we don't give them enough chance to sniff. Also, like when you're doing scent work with your dog, you're working as a team, but your dog's kind of in charge of that team. So you're just kind of like the cheerleader at the back, like helping them along. And I think for that, it increases your bond. It also is a great thing to do to increase confidence, because if you've got a dog, say, who is a bit reactive or a bit worried about the environment, if you can build up scent work at home and make it an activity that they're really looking forward to doing, you can take it anywhere. So I encourage my clients to take scent work to the park, find a tree, hide a piece of Kong, which is what we search for, and just get going with it. And actually what you can find is that the dog just doesn't really care about what's happening around, because they're just on their job. So the benefits really are, you could have a huge list of benefits. I just think it's, and again, it's an activity you could do with any dog, tiny puppy to an old dog. So, you know, it's such a good, enriching activity.
Yeah. And can it replace a walk from time to time then, or is it?
Yeah.
As well as?
It depends. Again, all that depends on like the dog and like what you're looking at, why you're looking to maybe replace a walk. But I do think it's a great thing to be doing for, if you know, if your dog struggles with walks, say they're really nervous on walks and they're worried about traffic and things like that. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is go, right, we're going to do our 3 walks a day. You're going to be exposed to all of that all the time. And rather than maybe exposing them, you could be doing 10 minutes of scent work. And they say 10 minutes of scent work is like an hour's walk because of the intensity of the sniffing that they can do on that walk. The intensity of the sniffing they do on the like 10 minutes of scent game. So you could replace it. You could replace walks, but it's just a great, you know, like when it's coming up to dark nights, rather than maybe going out and doing that big walk, you could do 10 minutes and a bit of a walk. So you're not kind of giving them all the walks that you maybe normally do.
Oh yeah, sounds ideal. So what does scent training involve?
So scent training involved, there's lots of different ways you can do scent training. So obviously lots of basic scent training you could do is like teaching your dog to find food, which is a really fun thing for them to do. You could teach them to find scented toys, which is what I'll kind of go on to in a bit. But the scent training that I would do on my online course and that UK Sniffer Dogs do is to find a specific odour. So what we teach the dogs to do is search, locate and indicate on an odour. So in level 1 it would be red Kong, which is the toy that, you know, the Kong toy that you can fill with food and the dog enjoys that. It's got, that's what we use in level 1. And the dog would basically come in, find it, and when they indicate, they're going to freeze on the Kong, and we know they're on it. So basically, scent work is just teaching the dog to find something with their nose.
And they position themselves like a pointer, that classic pointer pose.
Yeah, I mean, you've got there's so many different types of indications with scent work. So you could teach a dog when they find scent to bark, or lie down, or retrieve something to you. But the one that we concentrate on is that they kind of do that point. So they would come in, they'd find it, and they'd freeze, and they'd be like, yes, you know that they're on it because they're like a statue. Which is really fun. Yeah. Once you train that, it's a really fun thing to be working with. Yeah,
I'm presuming you're automatically cheering when they do that. I can imagine. Oh yay!
Yeah, it is, and it's quite like when you've done it for a while. Like I struggle to find hiding places now with Luna because she's too good, and like the pieces of Kong. So when you start, you'd have a whole Kong, so it'd be a big. There'd be a lot of the scent available to the dog. But as you kind of progress, you make the Kong smaller and smaller to a tiny piece of Kong, smaller than your fingernail, and you'd hide that somewhere in a room. You send the dog in, and they're going to go find that tiny piece of Kong. But she's so good, so I'm just like running out of like hiding spaces, which is great.
So how do you know they're not just remembering where you've tried last time? Do they automatically go to where you've been last time, or?
Yeah, they can do, but what they could be doing at that moment is going to say you were doing a 10-minute scent work session, and you hid a Kong, say, in a kitchen cupboard, and the next time you moved it from the kitchen cupboard and put it somewhere else, the dog might go back to the kitchen cupboard because one, you rewarded them for doing it there before, but the Kong, it would also leave like a tiny bit of like residual odour, which would be, residual odour is basically like, imagine the Kong piece leaves like a fingerprint of scent. So it's not there anymore, but it's left a little bit of scent behind. So what dogs do... Say that again.
Sniffer dogs is what I don't know if that's the proper phrase, but you know when I'm picturing an American film, bloodhound, an escaped convict, and then the residual smell of where they were, and then it gets stronger and stronger as they move. Is it like that?
And so what they would do is maybe go and indicate on residual, but what we want to teach them is to ignore residual. Like they're not wrong when they find that, but we want them to carry on to the source, and the source would be the Kong piece hidden. So yeah, in a way they would maybe do it by memory, but also a little bit of residual, and then we're trying to encourage them to keep going until they get to the source, which is when they get their rewards.
Okay, I get you. So you've already started telling us how to do it. Can you just give us a kind of, for a beginner like me, how would I start and what would be the best bet for me to begin with?
Well, signing up to my course. No, what I would do to start with, I would either get you to, depending on your dog, does your dog love food more than toys, or what would you feel like they're better with?
Toys rather than food, yeah.
So toys, okay, so what I would do, I've got a little kit that I make up. I would find a toy that your dog likes, or buy like a brand new kind of small toy. IKEA do really great toys that you can buy from like the kids section. What you can then do is you get yourself a jar, and I would use something like Kong catnip. So catnip doesn't do anything to dogs like it does the cats. You know, if you give it to your cat, I think they go wild. But with dogs, it's just a herb that they can't access. It's new to them. So you would pop a bit of the catnip. This looks dodgy, but this is just catnip. So you'd pop it in a little bag, or you could make a pocket of like kitchen roll, pop it into the jar, pop your toy in, and let that toy just marinate in that scent. So and give that a couple of days just to start to brew and for that toy to start to smell of the catnip. And then what you could do is really easy games with the dog. So if you've got 2 people, it's a bit easier. But if it's just you yourself, I would have your dog with their harness. And what I would do is just to start to play with the toy and the dog and get them to tug on it. And the whole time that you're doing that scent, they're tasting it, they're smelling it. What we're hoping it's imprinting into their like olfactory region, so that it's going into that the zone that we want them to learn the smell, the scent. When they're keen to play, I would throw the toy out into the room and I would say, find it or search. They go get it, you would reward them, you have a party, and you go again. And you can build up to then having, I would then like hold the harness, I would throw the toy into the room, and I would send them to go find it. So you want to make it super easy. You kind of want them to just watch the toy land, send them in, and through lots of kind of sessions of that, you can build up to maybe popping your dog in a different room. You hide the toy in quite an obvious place to start with. You go release them, send them in, ask them to find it, and they should hopefully go and locate the toy that smells of the catnip. And in time, you make it harder and harder. You can hide it maybe in a toy box or under the cushion on the sofa. So you're adding difficulty when you think your dog's really getting the concept of the game and you can see they're enjoying it, rather than making it too hard too soon and they're like, I don't know what we're doing.
Lose interest.
Yeah.
It's like training generally then, just increase when you can.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think we tend to rush them through it a little bit when actually you just want to take your time with it so that it becomes an activity that you really both enjoy doing.
So it starts off kind of like fetch.
Yeah, it basically is like a fetch, because you just want them to love playing with that toy, and then you can throw it into a room. It's important you start to use the cues, so the cues associated with the game, like a search or find it or go sniff. Yeah, so it's essentially like fetch to begin with.
Fascinating, brilliant. So, what was I going to say? The initial scent training. Then, once people have done that, they can come to you for kind of more advanced and go through your online training a little bit.
Yeah, so they could either come and do like an online course. I think there's lots of people doing them now, but it is more advanced because you're working really on building their kind of motivation to search. You're teaching them an actual indication, and you can add more odors as you progress. So in UK sniffer dogs, they can also go to and find an instructor that maybe lives near them, or they might do different courses as well. Their next level would be finding gun oil, which is a bit random, but that's the next level, and then you can do truffle. So there's so many kind of levels that you can progress through, which is great.
So you could get your dog searching out truffles.
Yeah, I think I might give up dog training and just be a millionaire. Truffle hunt with Eagle.
Yeah, teach them how to search in that gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can start with you online, but you've also got some free tutorials you were saying the other day.
Yeah, so when lockdown hit, I didn't really know if I was going to be busy with work. So I made lots of scent kits, and I basically drove round before we were locked in properly to all my clients, and I gave them all a little scent kit. I then created like a Facebook group where I would upload videos of me doing it with Luna so they could follow and give them something to do while they were stuck indoors. And it kind of grew from there. Like I ended up having, I think, about 80 in the group of just people just joining randomly. So the group's closed now, but all the videos, all the tutorials, and all the info that you need to read up on is in that group. So it's still available. I just don't do anything with it. There's nothing new that will be added. But anyone's welcome to have a go, and it'll teach you how to make a scent kit as well.
It was a Facebook group. What was the Facebook group called?
If they search Milne and Mutt scent work, then it should come up. And if they ask to join, I'll just let them in. Yeah.
Oh, cool. And so that's also the best way to find you, just a Google search. if they want to do online courses?
Yeah, if they Google search my business, it'll come up. Or if they want to, I'm less good on Facebook and better on Instagram. So if they get me on Instagram, all of my courses will be kind of put on there when the next one's going to start.
Yeah, Milne and Mutt dog training.
Milne and Mutt dog training, yeah. Best place to find me on social media.
Brilliant. All right, that's. Is there anything else about scent you wanted to add that I've completely forgotten about?
Well, we could, just as a little fact for people, there's a few things that are quite interesting, I think, about the dog's nose. The respiration rate per minute, which I think is a really interesting and quite fascinating fact, and why scent work is so good. So imagine your dog is lying by your feet now, they're just having a little rest. The respiration rate per minute is about 15, so it's just nice and slow.
15?
Take them out, yeah, 15, 1-5. Take them out on a street walk, it doubles to about 30, so it's getting a bit faster. You take them off lead, about 60. If you do something like scent work, so like high frequency sniffing, it can range from 140 to 200 beats per minute. So you can imagine how quick their nose is working and how much of a muscle, like it's so tiring for them. So sniffing is, I think, if people take anything away from this live, is that give your dogs a chance to sniff and set up different sniffy games, whether you go for scent work, which is more kind of structured, or whether you just do fun things with food in the garden, or even do walks. And we spoke about this the other day, but just going for a walk and letting your dog sniff. You're not out for the purpose of going from A to B, or just like, let's just sniff. Even if it's for 10, 15 minutes, it's a really great way to spend a bit of time. Yeah.
Quite often do it with Roscoe, just kind of a wander down the road, and that every other day or so, I'll just kind of, it's just sniff day today. Yeah. Otherwise, he wants to drag me all over the place if I'm not careful. So, yeah, but if we know we're just sniffing, he just loves it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. And for those kind of walks, I would tend to normally give them a bit of like a longer line. So obviously not near a road, but if you're just somewhere that you can just give them a little bit more, or let them off lead if they're fine with that, but just giving them a little bit more room on a lead just to make some more choices of where they want to go.
Yeah, and then there's a marked difference, I suppose, between what your normal walk is and then we're going sniffing today.
Yeah, do you know what? I think I'm a believer in that as well. Just in terms of training lead work, I would do a nice, like, a certain lead for doing lead training. And like you say, switching to that longer line, it means, right, we're just sniffing. You're not having to walk by my side. We're just out for a sniff, and it's not like a walk with purpose. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that clarity.
Yeah. But the dog's nose is fascinating. I think it's something we should all know about, because we don't give them the chance to use it as much. And actually, we're so focused, our world vision, but the dogs will smell. So, and their olfactory region in the brain is 40 times larger than ours. Yeah. And I think this is right. If you were to roll out our olfactory region, the surface area of it, I think it's about the size of an A4 bit of paper. But if you roll out a dog, it's the size of a football pitch.
No way.
Because it's just a huge ball for them. So I think it's just looking at the difference in our nose to theirs. It's like we have to give them a chance to use it. Yeah,
you see, if you finish your tea and there's nothing left on your plate, the dog will still be there.
Yeah.
At your plate, thinking, right, yes, brilliant. I can smell that food. I'm going to go and get it in the kitchen.
Yeah.
In a couple of minutes. There's nothing there at all. So it just says, their world is scent world, not vision world.
They'd be able to detect on your plate that you had beef and gravy and there was a bit of parsley. They would know they could detect all the smells rather than just the smell of roast dinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No wonder they're drooling. Yeah.
If I have a tiny crumb or biscuit in my pocket and I'll hang my jacket up at the front door, and Luna would be crying in the hallway, and I'm like, I know, she knows there's a biscuit, and it's really annoying because she's just crying for food.
Yeah. When we were saying the other day about the different nostrils, it's like
they can work independently.
That's it, yeah.
So our nostrils obviously work together. So we would inhale and exhale, and then inhale and exhale. But dogs would inhale through their main part of the nose, and they exhale through the little slits on the side. but at the same time they can inhale and exhale. There's like a constant flow. But not only that, the right nostril might pick up a scent, and they would know the direction of where that scent was because of which nostril picked it up. So it really is. Yeah, it is an amazing thing to know about the dog smells.
Yeah, there's a whole virtual reality thing to be set up as a dog, isn't there?
Oh yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah,
I don't think we'd enjoy it. I think I have a strong sense of smell as a human. I think, imagine sitting on a bus with someone really smelly next to you. Imagine what a dog could smell.
Well, I wonder if they go beyond that kind of, that surface kind of unpleasant smell, and then they're kind of getting the bits from within that.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
I mean, they love all the nasty smells that we don't like, don't they? Like
yeah.
dog poo and everything. Probably it's like the best smell to them.
Yeah. Fascinating. All the little bits within it. Yeah.
Have you done any scent work with your dog before?
No, like I say, just the toddling down the road, and then he kind of knows with the pace, and I'll give him a longer lead with the walk on the way down there, and then there's a nice big bit of patch of grass further down the road, so that he's kind of looking to me, are we going to go there?
Yeah.
And then we cross over, and that's him. He just knows, and he's just into that. So that's probably every other day.
Yeah.
But then the other days, it's just we're walking. So I did read at some point that it's quite a nice idea to start a walk off with a bit of a sniffing, and then carry on. But I found that can cause him to want to keep doing the sniffing throughout the walk, and it drags me around. Yeah,
you could. Yeah, so sniffing will obviously reduce arousal. So sometimes if your dog, had that mad moment of play, or something has overwhelmed them, sometimes a great thing to do is just scatter some food in some grass and just encourage some sniffing. It'll take that arousal down pretty quickly. You could put sniffing on cue on a walk. So sometimes if you have a dog, like you say, you want to do maybe a bit of sniffing first, but then you want to go, you could start to say on a walk, okay, go sniff, and stop and make sure you're just stopping to sniff. And you could even scatter some food to help build that association with the cue. And then that could become a reward for them during a walk. So you might do a nice purposeful walk, and then you stop it somewhere and go, okay, go sniff. And they're like, oh, cool. And they get to just stop and sniff, and then you're like, let's go. So rather than like feeling like you don't want to do it, you could just add it into the walk as something that happens in the walk that you kind of cue.
Yeah, I think I'm using a general cue. I go, excuse me. Excuse me.
That's right.
Use like, go on then, or something like that. And that's the cue for him to kind of go sniffing. But I also use that for kind of various other things as well. So really, I need to have that sniffing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would stick to a specific cue that means we're going to stop and sniff.
Sniff, yeah. Cool. Right.
Things you could do as well is using their food. If you've got little kind of ramekins or bowls, hide them. Keep your dog keep them in the kitchen maybe, and hide little bowls of their food around the house, and just let them sniff and find their food. So it's just really simple things that you could add into their day, which just gives them a chance to use their nose and adds a bit of enrichment.
That's lovely. That's a great idea. Yeah, really nice.
I could talk about scent work all day, so I'm sure you haven't got time.
You're going to have coming up to that half-hour mark.
Oh, are we? Okay.
Yeah, already. Yeah. Yeah, it's been lovely talking to you, Gemma. So, just a quick reminder for anyone watching, it's Milne and Mutt. Just quick search on Google, find you, or Instagram, Milne and Mutt dog training.
Yeah.
And they can find you.
Yeah, and if you want to join that group, it's Milne and Mutt scent work.
Brilliant. All right.
Brilliant.
Lovely to speak to you, Gemma.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right. See you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.